My name is Idra from PixelStudio TDS, and I'll be the session manager for this webinar today. Before we start with the session proper, let me share with you some of the basic ground rules we need to follow so that we can have a smooth and fruitful webinar session. First of all, when we start the session proper, like now, all of you will be muted. So to ensure that we have clean audio coming in, only from the trainers, so you guys can hear them properly and can hear the instruction properly. So I also recommend you, if you have a pair of earphones or headphones, it's better to use them to isolate the background noise at your location. And most importantly, to hear the trainer clearly. If you have any questions in between the sessions, please raise your digital hand. Look at the bottom screen of your Zoom application. You click on that, then one of our moderators will unmute you and you can chat with us and ask questions. But along the way, if you have any like short questions, you can just type it up under the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. So, okay, what can you expect from this training? Basically, is to be familiar with the basic editing functions from this free video editing software from Davinci Resolve. Some history, Davinci Resolve last time is being used by Hollywood editors and it costs millions of dollars, but the company Black Magic Design has taken over it, and he has and simplified the software and also make it affordable. So what you guys gonna use, you can download this software at the Black Magic Design Singapore website. There's two types of versions. One is the paid version, one is the free version. The free version allows you to do basically most of the functions. One thing good about this software, it's free, and it is also it can run on Windows and Mac, so you can install it on your internet PC and start doing your editing. So before we start, let me introduce to you some of the members of PixelStudio and their roles in this webinar session. First of all, let me introduce to you our two trainers. First up is Hafiz from PixelStudio. Hafiz, say hi.
Hi.
Hafiz has been with me since 2013 when I first set up PixelStudio, and he has been the main video editor ever since. Hafiz has a background in film, sound, and video, and most of the event and publicity videos you've seen in the past few years were probably edited by him. So Hafiz will take one half of today's training. The other half will be taken by Rayan. Rayan, say hi.
Hello.
Hello. I see this. Okay, Rayan has been part-timing with PixelStudio for about almost a year before he joined us last year. He's too good to let go, so we offered him a job with PixelStudio. So Rayan has a background in digital television and film, and he is the freshest among us in using Davinci Resolve, as he just got certified last year. So Hafiz, Rayan, and I attended this Davinci Resolve course, and we certified Davinci users, and we will share with you some of these essential tools in the software so you can start using it to edit your own videos. So finally, let me introduce to you Roger Shah. Say hi, Roger.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks. Roger is a project manager from TDS in PixelStudio, and he runs innovation projects as well as conducting R&D on new innovation initiative for NLB. Especially in the media-related field, which PixelStudio is focusing on. He will be our webinar moderator for today. Basically, he has control to mute and unmute you, reply questions. I also will be helping in replying questions, as well as assisting the trainer on UI matters to highlight certain functions here and there within the software. Okay, so without further ado, enough from me. Let's start the webinar session, and Hafiz will take over to cover the first half of today's video, and have fun. All yours, Hafiz.
Okay, so welcome. I hope everyone is well and still very much alive even though through this extended circuit breaker period. So anyway, as Indra mentioned earlier on, you can go online to download this program. Let me show you where it is. So this is the Blackmagic Designs website, specifically for the Resolve 16 software that we are using today. So when you come over to this website, just make sure that you scroll all the way down, and then you will notice that there's two options, Davinci Resolve 16 and Davinci Resolve Studio 16. Obviously, we go for the free one, which is this one. So first of all, that's how you need to obtain the software. Okay, so that's that out of the way. So the first thing I'm going to let you know is how to create a project in Resolve. Okay, so what I like to do is when I'm starting for the very first time, right, I like to collate all of the materials meant for the video in one place. So to do this, we need to, this is called a directory. So to do this, when you launch the program for the first time, right, you will be greeted by this screen. And then you can see on the left side, there's this section called disk. So when you install the program already, then the program has already a preset database within your computer. But if for whatever reason you like to create your own separate database, let's say like you want to work off a external hard disk drive and things like that, so that you can bring that hard disk drive and edit it on another workstation and such. So how do you create a new database? You will see that at the bottom, there's this thing called new database. Okay, so you just click it. So instead of connect, you press create, and then you click on the location. Where would you like it to? Where would you like the database to be located at? So for demonstration purposes, I've pre-made a database for today's tutorial. Okay, which is on the desktop, Davinci Resolve 16 Zoom tutorial. Okay, then now that you need to give it a name. What is it? So okay, so according to your preferences, you can just name the database as it is. Okay, once you've created the new database, okay, this one is a tip on how to organize your footage and things like that. Previously, when I set the database as it is, there's only this cache clip and resolve projects. But what I like to do is, all future editing projects, will go to this database. So what I like to do is I separate it by year, and then by event. And then there's a folder called footage, where this is where you can bring in all of your stuff, all of your videos, all of your photos, all your music and things like that. So it's a good thing to organize your materials this way and make sure that all of the materials that you're going to be using for your video all end up in this project, so that if you ever move it to somewhere else, there won't be any missing files when you open up in a different editing machine. Okay, so let's get started. So that's the Resolve tutorial, and this is the project that I've already mentioned. Okay, let's just redo. Untitled project settings, save as. Let's say today's tutorial is Davinci 0505 2020. Okay. Okay, never mind that. Let's just get started. Okay, so this is the screen that you're greeted with when you are sorry, let's just get this out of the way. When you first start up the program. Okay, so now the next part is how to import files, because you realize that just now you have already like what's this? You have gathered together all of your materials in that specific folder that we have on the desktop, like you see like this. Okay, so how do you import in all these things? The program makes it very easy for you, such that you don't have to physically go inside the program and then like do it the traditional way, which is like import file, click one by one. That's very tedious. So what you can do is you just click all of the files and folders that you want to be using for your project. Just click and then drag inside this panel. And then just, sorry. I was in the wrong, okay, sorry. Okay. As I was saying, you just click all of the files that you wanted to put inside your video. Click and drag inside this section called Power Bins Master. Then just drop it off. You'll notice that under the master bin, the directory has been preserved. See, so you don't have to go through the conventional method of file, and import media. So this is easy, just like that. So as of this point, are there any questions before I move on? Any questions about how to create project? Any questions about how to import files?
Once again, guys, you can use the Q&A or raise your hands if you have any questions.
I see a question from KA to all panelists. Is it the same as for Windows? Yes, it is. So the program works the same as in Windows and Mac operating systems. So do we have any? Can we use Android phone to import video files? Can we use Android phone to import video files? Can you explain your question? Can we use Android phone to import video files?
Maybe I can just come in because this platform is it will run on Windows and Mac lah. So basically, if you recorded some of your footage using your mobile phones, you need to transfer them over to your computer where this software sits. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, we do recommend importing in your video files to your computer first. Otherwise, it'll just feed off the information from your phone, and that can take quite some time. Okay, are there any other questions so far? Okay, are we good?
Mindy has a question.
Office, you can look at the Q&A list.
Q&A list. Let's see.
You can choose which questions you want to answer first. Otherwise, you can.
I see. If you drag and drop some formats, the program will auto sort. Let's say lazy and never drag and drop. Okay, let's answer Fazira's question. Answer live. Okay, Fazira asked whether if you never sort it out because as she says, let's say lazy and things like that. Yes, you still can use it, but then your bins will end up looking very cluttered. So the answer is yes, you can use you can just drop it off just like that. But I think for the purpose of organization, I think it's better to just sort everything out. Okay. Mindy asks, when I go into media, I don't see power bins, just master and smart bins. I see. I've no Rayan, can you help?
Actually, I also don't know.
Yeah.
But basically, the master bins are the one that you should be concerned about because that's where all your files and folders actually go to. So I don't think you need to be concerned about power bins and smart bins. Yeah, as long as you drag your files and folders into the master, it should be fine. Yep. Yes, Mindy.
Yes, Mindy, you can drag into your master bins. Okay, done. Okay, Chris asks, does that mean when you're making recording, it should be in landscape and portrait mode? I guess it depends on the kind of video that you're shooting for. Most typically, we shoot in landscape lah. If you notice, a lot of our productions are all in landscape mode. But for some reason, for stylistic purposes, we might choose to feature one or two in portrait mode. Like I think there's one time where we edited something for Instagram Live, and that's in portrait mode. Yeah, then yes. So it depends on your kind of content and the things that you're doing. Okay, so I guess that's it for the questions and answers for this so far. So I guess we can continue. Okay. What's the aspect ratio for the videos required? The aspect ratio, let's see. Okay, KA asks, what's the aspect ratio for the videos required? So now we shoot in 16:9. So the videos used to be shot in 4:3, but nowadays all of it is shot in 16:9. That's the most typical aspect ratio. Okay. Also, KA asks, what is the output? The output actually depends on you. If you just want to share it with your colleagues and stuff like that over file set and things like that. So you can export out in 720p, but if you're giving it out to certain places that requires high quality, then we would export it out as 1080p. And sometimes if you wanna send it off for vetting and things like that, 1080p is not necessary. So for us, typically we just do it in 720p if you wanna send to the powers that be for vetting and things like that. Okay, I think that's it for the question so far. Okay, now let's move on. The next one that I'll be touching on is cutting video clips and merging. Okay, so we've already imported in all our clips, right? So our music is here, our photos are here, and our videos is here. Okay. So what do we do next? Now we need to. You notice now at the bottom panel there's media, cut, edit, fusion, color, highlight, and deliver. So to start editing, we need to go from, okay, previously we were on the media tab. So now we need to go over to the edit tab. Okay. Let's get this out of the way. Okay. So now notice this is our timeline, and then this is the workspace that we are working with. Okay. So all our files are onto this left side of the panel. You see, like our master bins, video, photos, music. Okay, for starters, let's insert in our videos that I have prepared. Okay, then drag in some more. And the last one. Okay, so basically, if you want to import it into your timeline, that's it. Just go, just locate the videos that you would like to edit from your bins, your videos bins, and then just you can drag everything into the timeline, and then it will just arrange itself. Okay, so before I move on, now this is a very, very, very important tip for you when you do video editing. When you do video editing, always, always, always remember to save your work frequently. I cannot stress this enough because you do not want to encounter unpleasant situations where you didn't save your work and then the program just shuts down by itself, and then you have to go some way back to redo everything. So from time to time, please remember to save your work. Control S for Windows and Command S for Mac. Okay. Let's see, we have a chat. Yes. Okay, so now with that out of the way, so let me show you how to cut the clips. Okay, so now how do we begin to cut the clip proper? Okay, now you see that, let's say this one. Let's cut the
Sorry,
clip.
Hafiz, do you want to go through the timeline creation, like the 1080p and 25 frames?
1080p. Let's see. Project settings. Yeah, right. Sorry. Okay, let's go back for a while. Okay, let's say that the timeline, it needs to be in 1080, set in 1080p and or whatever format that you recorded your footage in. So which I didn't explain earlier on, which I shall get to now. Okay, so now how do you change the settings of the timeline? So you go to File, go to Project Settings, and then you'll notice this timeline resolution 1080p, and this was shot in 25 frames per second. So let's just set it as 25 frames per second. And as far as resolutions go, that's all that you need to do. Then you click Save. And just ignore this. Okay, so now your timeline is in 1080p 25 frames per second. So we can start cutting the video. Okay, how do you cut the video? Let's say that we want to cut this video. Oh dear. Oh yeah, technical glitch. I see. Okay, can we take a few minutes because I'm experiencing some technical error? Okay, let's stop share first.
Ray, maybe you want to take over your portion?
I don't think we should though. It should be in a sequence. We should follow the sequence.
Yeah, I'm experiencing some slight technical error because the videos are not playing. Please bear with me for a while.
In the meantime, if you all have any questions, just ask us first. Then we'll help to answer.
Ryan, there are two questions right now.
Mm.
Maybe you want to handle them while Hafiz fixes.
Okay, okay, this is from Kenneth Wong. What's the difference between cut tab and edit tab at the bottom? Okay, so basically, both are essentially almost the same thing, but the cut tab is the sort of like the simplified version of edit. Edit has more features, so usually we skip the cut portion and jump right into edit. It's because we have more features, it's easier to, I mean for us it's easier for us to do any editing, streaming and placing the video together. Yeah, hope that answers. Serotonin Joy asked, cut video means what? Cut video means to trim it down to the length of the footage that you need, and then also to piece together the whole entire video.
Okay, bear with me, just a few more minutes.
Ryan, a few more questions.
Okay, so Kenneth asked, is there any merit in using the cut tab itself? So the only merit I would say is that it's more simplified, but you don't really have much controls over the video itself. You only can like put things down and trim it. For the edit tab itself, you have more controls like shifting the position, the scale, which is really helpful if you need to reposition your shot to make it look better. Yeah. Okay, Mindy asked, if I get a bunch of random videos shot by different people, how can I tell how many FPS their videos are? Okay. Okay, if they are shot on different FPS, answer is they might look weird in some sense that okay, basically how most of our videos are now is in Singapore, we use 25 frames per second. So what frames mean, right, is like in every second there's 25 photos. So if your project timeline is 50 frames per second and your video footage is 25 frames, you essentially have to repeat every frame for like twice the length. So that actually makes your video look more in some sense choppy, like the motion isn't very smooth. So what we recommend is if you are shooting like multiple, like having so many people to shoot differently, right? Then you will create a problem essentially. So what we recommend is before you go and shoot, make sure everyone's video settings are set the same way, especially for frame rate. Resolution is still okay. You can still scale it down if you are shooting from a high resolution, say 4K, and then scaling it down to 1080p is fine. But if you have a different FPS, then that will be a problem. Okay, Archivist asks, do we need to separately stitch speaker's audio to his speech? Okay, so if you are recording your audio separately, then yes, you will need to sync your audio to his video footage. If you are recording directly into your video camera or your phone's camera, then you don't need to sync your audio. Okay, so Hui-Fang asked, will this video be available on YouTube? For reference, yes, this video is currently live. So once we end the broadcast, it will be ready as a uploaded video on YouTube.
All right, guys, I'll be typing out the answers by the speakers today in the Q&A section. So in the case where you missed out, you can still refer to the Q&A box. Thank you.
Okay, I think for now, let me just continue from where Hafiz left off, which is trimming the video. Is everyone okay with the idea about the timeline and project settings? If y'all don't have any more questions, I'll jump into the trimming part. Any questions? Any raised hands? If not, I'll proceed. Okay, one question. Does exporting, okay, Kenneth asked, does exporting the files in 1080p have any benefit in video quality if the footage is shot in 720p? If you shot it in 720p, export it in 720p because 720 is technically a lower resolution. The size of the video is actually smaller. So if you are shooting at 720, export in 720. Only when you have footage in 1080, then you want to export to 720, that is fine. Downscaling is fine, but upscaling is not. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay, if not, I'll just go through, hold on. Okay.
Oh, Ryan, we have some questions coming in from YouTube. Vidya asks, if you're shooting with a smartphone, how many frames per second that would be?
It depends on their smartphone itself. So most phones is 50 frames per second or 60 frames or 25 frames. That's usually the case, unless some of the newer phones have slow motion, which allows for 100 frames per second. Okay, let me move on to trimming. Okay, so let's just imagine this was Hafiz, the video Hafiz was showing just now. So in this case, how do we trim our video? Basically, you can use your cursor. You can see my cursor over here, and you can drag it. Once you hover onto the sides of the video footage, you can drag it. This shortens it, and this lengthens it. So if you see on the left side while I was dragging, right, that is the preview screen. So it's where the frame is currently at. this, where my cursor is at. It previews that particular footage. So if I want to lengthen it, I can just lengthen it all the way here, and then you see more of the video. And then to shorten it is to just drag in. Then when you play it, it will be a shorter duration. So basically, this is how you change the duration of your video clip. Another way is to press B, the B on your keyboard, which is to activate the blade tool over here. When it's activated, you see it as orange. So what you can do is just, if you prefer to cut it here, you just click. And you can see there's a cut made here. So it becomes 2 separate clips, and then you can just drag it off. Or if you don't want it, you can just hit delete, then it's gone. Yeah, so that's how you make trims on the video footage. Okay, Hafiz, is there anything that I missed?
Okay, so I can come back because my system has worked again, thankfully. Okay. Okay, so just now the cutting. This is what we have. So let's, for example, let's split this clip into 3 because this is what we know as what we call B-rolls or cutaways. Okay, so what are cutaways? Cutaways are videos that you layer on top of the primary interview video or the main video to provide some context about what the person is saying, so, and also provide some interests. Let's see, let's just cut here. Then we drag to the next footage, which is about here. Then we can cut. Okay. So now we've already cut these 3 videos, and where do we want to where do we want to put this on top? Which is on top of this clip. Because as this guy is saying his stuff, then we want to have the cutaways appear at some point of time. So what we do is we just click